The NFL Draft is right around the corner, and that means it's time for another Power Rankings powered by Reliant. Top 10 draft classes as we welcome back in Nick Eatman. I'm Kyle Youmans. And Nick, it isn't necessarily draft classes specifically. It's actually more of a rookie class because you got to have that same kind of perspective.
Well, definitely. It's mostly draft, but, you know, you're going to get some guys after the draft, those rookie free agents. The Cowboys have prided themselves on getting some of those. So some of these rankings here have some really good undrafted players that kind of affect the numbers a little bit.
Completes the whole picture for the Cowboys as a franchise. Let's start off with number 10. What you starting with?
Well, usually it takes more than one guy to make the draft class, but in 1990, it was Emmitt Smith. You got to have him on the list. They got him 17th overall, traded up to get him. You know, they got some other guys in there, Kenny Gant, the Shark, but it was an Emmitt Smith draft. He's one of the greatest players to ever play, all-time leading rusher. He makes the list. Number 9, this is the Tony draft. Tony Dorsett, okay. Tony Hill. You got him. They traded up to get him. Dorsett, number 2 overall. Tony Hill, both those guys were staples there from the late 70s and the 80s. Let's go to number 8. We got the 91 draft. This one was solid all the way through, top to bottom. You had the number 1 pick, Russell Maryland. He really wasn't the best player in there, but Eric Williams, Leon Lett, Larry Brown, who's Super Bowl MVP, just from top to bottom. Great job there with the 1991 draft. We'll go number 7. This is what I was talking about with an undrafted player. 1973, Drew Pearson, undrafted free agent, has a Hail Mary, all these great plays. Also Harvey Martin, Billy Joe Dupree, Golden Richards. Really a sound draft, but that getting Pearson there late was big. Number 6 is 2016, and actually, truth be told, this one is probably, I would say last year would have been in the top 5. These draft classes can go up and down a little bit. I think with Jalen Smith now no longer being here, Zeke's tapered off a little bit. We'll see about Dak. He's off. He's the franchise leader. You get him in the 4th round, a face of the franchise. Obviously, that was huge. Anthony Brown is helping that class a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. This thing, they may get themselves back into the top 5. Number 5. Jason Witten in the 3rd round. I mean, Jason Witten, the story is he ripped the door off. He was so mad he wasn't in the 1st round, the 2nd round. Cowboys were so happy that that frame didn't work out so well because they got him in the 3rd round. He just ends up playing more games than anyone else. Never got off the field, only missed 1 game. But Tony Romo, I mean, at the end of the draft, just getting him away from Denver, that was huge to get him another face of the franchise for a moment there. Terrence Newman, let's don't forget, the 5th overall pick. So that was a great class, headlined by Romo and Witten.
Absolutely, and then you look at number 4 through 2, what you got here. Let's lead into that number 1 draft class.
Yeah, well, let's go with number 4. They wanted to change. Bill Parcells wanted to get into a 3-4 scheme and knew it would probably take a couple of drafts to do it. It didn't. It just took 1 because they got DeMarcus Ware there at the 11th overall pick, and then after that, it was just Marcus Spears, Chris Canty, Jay Ratliff in the 7th round. Don't forget Marion Barber, the Barbarian there in the 4th round. So that was a really big draft class there for Bill Parcells. All right, number 3, this wasn't just a couple guys. How about the 12, the Dirty Dozen? That was back when they had a lot of rounds. 12 guys made the team. It starts with Randy White, the Manster there, number 2 overall. Some people thought he was a linebacker. He was a defensive tackle, an All-Pro, and a Hall of Famer at that. All right, number 2, 1989 draft. You got Troy Aikman. They had to hit a home run. They did. They got Troy Aikman. And then they ended up after that with just Stepnoski, Daryl Johnston, Tony Tolbert. That was the first one of Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones. Those 2 guys put together a great draft. It starts with Aikman, but that really kind of led to the team of the 90s.
It was an all-star team in a draft. It was an all-star team on the field. Now they're all-stars in broadcasting, too, with Moose Johnson, and you've got Troy Aikman there, Jimmy Johnson, all, of course, in their post-careers as well. It was such a big class, but sitting at number 2, you're looking at Troy Aikman and Moose and these guys, and they're still not the number 1 class. That says a lot about at the top spot.
Well, I think, and my math has never been really great, but I think I just added up together about 7 Hall of Famers that we've talked about in those first 9. About 6 or 7 there. How about this number 1 class? 3 in 1 draft. That's amazing. I don't care what era it is. You get 3 Hall of Famers in 1 draft. It's not only the best in Cowboys history, it's probably the best of all time. Very debatable. 1964, Mel Renfro in the 2nd round, and then they end up you know, we'll see if this Bob Hayes guy can play football. I know he can run. He's very fast, Olympic gold medalist. Let's see if we can make him a football player. He changed the game, ends up being a Hall of Famer. really was the reason why there's a zone defense now. And then in the 10th round, Roger Staubach, I mean, he's going to go to the Navy. Let's see if he comes back and wants to play football. And if he does, maybe he'll be a great player. Maybe he'll be the best quarterback or one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history and arguably one of the best players in the Cowboys history. 1964, hands down, that's easy. 3 guys that made it to the Hall of Fame in one draft.
You have so many gold jackets to work with, and of course, hey, it set up the Cowboys for success throughout the franchise's history. He's Nick Eatman. I'm Kyle Youmans. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Power Rankings, presented and powered by Reliant.